My name is Ira Gold. I'm a veteran of the United States Army, 1974 to 77. Spent most of my time in Würzburg, Germany, 3rd Infantry Division, 3 years, and then a year and a half in an active reserve unit. I was hurt there during a training exercise. I had injured a knee. I had had a frostbitten knee, and while they were transporting me up an icy, muddy hill in the forest, the young, inexperienced Jeep driver banged a truck, and the Jeep flipped up, and I got thrown out onto a tree stump. Fractured some vertebrae in my hip. I worked through it for years. They gave me 12 hours light duty. That was my treatment for this injury. Even though I was bruised from my knee to my armpit, I joined the VA system in, I think, 2011. And at some point there, I was talking with one of the doctors, and they said, well, why don't you file a claim? And I did, but I found out that they had lost all my medical records. So I went to the patient advocate, where they told me they were not responsible for helping me find those records. And I was getting nowhere. They wouldn't even look at my back injuries because they had no medical records. So the VSO, he said, did you have tinnitus before you went in the service? I said, no. And I did have it since then. He said, try for tinnitus to get your foot in the door. Got examination. The examiner said, even though the veteran was clearly in a position and in places that would cause ear injuries like tinnitus, it was her opinion that it was more unlikely than likely that the tinnitus started after service. And a search of his medical records were silent on the matter. So right away, I'm thinking, what medical records? And that's when I knew I needed a lawyer. I don't know exactly what it was that attracted me to Tucker Disability, but it seemed he had a good record, a lot of good reviews, so I gave him a try. And I contacted them, and the next thing I knew, John was on the phone with me. I spent quite a bit more time than I would have expected an attorney to. It just felt like family. And they've always treated me as such. When it comes to veterans, he does it for respect. And they're just like tenacious bulldogs. And the last guy who worked on my case, Dan Clark, a real gem. I mean, he did not let go of them for a second. And I got a 60% rating. The law firm arranged for me to see a specialist, and that carried a lot of weight. John and his crew knew exactly where to go and what to do. Then when we got that, I hadn't been able to work since 2012, really, in my profession, certainly. So they went for the TDIU, Total Disability Individual Unemployability. After many more delays by the VA and really flaky denials, they hooked me up with a guy who did testing, electronic testing. He had me wired and this and that. And that turned the tide, and they finally broke down and gave me the 100%. And I got a back payment back to 2016. And I was happy, but John wasn't, Dan wasn't, because it should have been back to 2012 when I made the claim. And they believed they had a rock solid case, and they went after it. Dan went after it. And this last appeal, he said these generally take 2 to 3 years to process. Well, Friday morning, I get a phone call from Dan, and he says, how you feeling? I said, I'm feeling pretty good. How about you? He said, good. He says, you're going to feel better. I said, why? We won. And he got me the back benefits to 2012 because he wouldn't let go. It was the best decision I ever made. I have recommended him repeatedly. It's pretty well known among veterans that the VA's, at least for the benefits program, their motto is delay, deny, wait till they die. John won't accept that, and I'm proof. So I would say the main thing is get with John, get with a good lawyer. John's the one I recommend, but get with somebody who will stand with you and won't give up. And that's Tucker Disability.